Hi everyone, welcome to another Procreate tutorial. This is the drawing that we will be completing in today's video. So if you are new here, I mainly post Procreate tutorials, so if that is something you are interested in, go ahead and subscribe. Otherwise, before we get started, the only thing that you will need to do is download the color palette. I have it linked in the description below. It's totally free to download. Just open up the file that downloads and it'll automatically pop into Procreate so that you can use the same colors as you follow along with the video today. I will also post the canvas dimensions, color profile, and layers needed on the screen so that you can use those to set up your canvas. So take a minute to get everything ready and then come back and we will get started. Okay, this is the color palette that we will be working with today. So let's just jump right into it. The first thing that we'll do is set our background color. We will do that by going to our layer menu, finding this background color layer at the bottom, clicking on that to open up the color selector and selecting the first color on the first row to fill in our background with this bright pink. This is a great picture to mess around with different colors if you want to. You can use different colors for your initial picture where I'm using pink and red, or you can use a different color for the last step where we turn half of our drawing to blue. You can mess around with different colors for both, so feel free to do so. But now we're going to jump right into making our checkerboard pattern. So we are going to do that on layer 1. So make sure we're on layer 1, which we should be. Grab the second color on the top row. And for the brush, we are going to grab the grid brush under the textures category. Set the size to 100%. And I am just going to start in the top left corner here. And I'm going to drag this all over the picture very, very thoroughly, without lifting my brush up at all. Make sure to go over it really, really good. Push pretty hard. Maybe go over it like a few times before picking your brush up, so we get a nice, good pattern. And then obviously this is way too small of a pattern for our checkerboard. We need it to be quite a bit bigger, but this is the brush that just comes with Procreate, and this is as big as you can get the grid size to be with the standard Procreate brush. And instead of making a custom brush, I figured we would just do a different little trick where we'll lay this down, and then I'm going to zoom out a bit, click my arrow tool, make sure it's set to uniform, and we are just going to increase the size in both directions as much as we can. Click the arrow tool again to turn that off, click it again to kind of reset it, and then we'll increase the size even further until we get it to a size that we would like for our checker pattern. So I'm thinking maybe about like this. I'll have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 going across 8 squares. You can make it any size you would like, but now that I have almost 8 squares, I am going to reset it one more time, and I'm just going to kind of make these lines line up better with each side. And I'm going to have the lines just go the teeniest bit off the screen so that all I have on the edges is my main pink background color. And then you can see the red lines just going off the screen in every direction. So I'm not going to have like the red edges right at the edge. I'm going to have them go off the edge just a little bit, like so. So once you have that in a good spot, go ahead and click the arrow tool to turn it off. And now we're going to start filling in the checkerboard pattern with our bright red color still on the same layer. So I'm just going to start with this top left square. I'm going to drag and drop my color to fill it in. Hold your pen down and increase your threshold quite a bit. We don't want to go over where it fills in everything, but just below that so that we don't have any gaps where our colors meet. So if your threshold's too low, you'll see a little tiny gap right in between the square and the line. So we don't want that. So go ahead and make sure that your threshold's high enough. If it's still too low, you can undo it and then try it again and continue dragging it up while you hold it down. But then once that is good to go, we are going to fill in our next one here. So we're going to skip over one, fill in the next one. And this time we're going to click this continue filling button at the top. And now we can just tap every other one to fill them in, so we don't have to continue dragging and dropping. So we'll do every other one, and then on the next line, do the opposite one all the way down. If yours ever fills in too like mine did, just go ahead and hold your pen down on the screen and drag it to the left to decrease the threshold enough to where it just fills in the 1. And then when you're done, it should look like this. Okay, so that is it for our checkerboard pattern, nice and easy. So now we will just go into making our smiley face. So we'll do that on a new layer above our checkerboard layer. So add a new layer on your layer menu. We will grab the white color, the third one on the top row. And for our brush this time, we are going to switch to the monoline brush under the calligraphy tab. I have that set to 100%. And I am just going to first make a circular shape. Hold it down. When it turns into a perfectly smooth shape, go ahead and touch your finger to the screen to make it a perfect circle. Size it however you'd like. I'm going to do mine roughly the size of where there's like 1 square on each side showing outside of my shape. Go ahead and fill that in. And then go ahead and click the arrow tool. Make sure that snapping is turned on in the bottom left. And then drag it until we get it exactly in the center where we see this vertical yellow line pop up and then the horizontal one as well. So we're perfectly in the center of the screen from top to bottom and from left to right. And then if you want to resize your circle at all, you can. Make sure you're on uniform so that we don't mess up our circular shape. Okay, we're going to do that one more time to get a pink smiley face. This is going to be kind of like a white border to our smiley face. So let's add a new layer on our layer menu right above this one. Grab our pink color again, the first one on the first row. Same monoline brush at 100%, and we're just going to do another circle inside a little bit smaller. Hold it down again, touch your finger to the screen again. Go ahead and fill it in, and now we can center it and resize it. So we'll click the arrow tool again, center it on our 2 yellow lines, and this is again where you can resize it if you need to, bigger or smaller, and just make sure to center it again if you change the size at all. Like so. So I just left a nice little white border all the way around. Okay, now we're going to make the face. We're going to make the face on a new layer right above this one. So add another layer on our layer menu. We're going to use this black color, the 4th one on the top row. Same monoline brush, but we are going to turn on symmetry to help us with this. So to turn on symmetry, we're going to go to the gear icon in the top left. Click that under Canvas, click to turn on the drawing guide, and then click Edit Drawing Guide. Click Symmetry to switch it to Symmetry, and you should see a vertical line. If you do not, you might need to select Vertical under the options over here. But once you have a vertical line, go ahead and click Done. And then the main thing, we just want to make sure that Symmetry is activated on the layer that we're on. So open up your layer menu, make sure that this layer that we're on here says Assisted. If it does not, click on it and turn on Drawing Assist. Otherwise, we are good to get started. My brush is still at 100%, and the first thing I'm going to do is make some eyes. They're going to be kind of like a vertical oval shape. So I'm going to draw the right one, and the left one will pop up automatically with our Symmetry tool. So I'm going to start where the middle line is. I'm going to go over just a little ways, not too far apart. So maybe just about right here. I'm going to draw an oval shape, hold it down, touch your finger to the screen to turn it like perfectly vertical. It snaps to different angles. If yours turned into a circle, that just means that you drew it a little too close to like a circle shape. So you might want to try it again, get it more oval-like, and then again, try touching your finger to the screen and it should snap perfectly vertical. Set it to a good size, whatever you would like, and then at the top, we can always click Edit. And we can move our shape around, resize it, anything you would like. So go ahead and do so. You can reshape it too if you want them to be a little wider or taller. And I'm just going to kind of move mine right about here, like roughly on like the 3rd line. Like, you know, if you cut this into thirds, the center of the eyeball would be roughly on this top line and about this far apart from each other. And then we're going to go ahead and fill that in. Okay, now we're going to make the mouth. We're going to do a similar thing here. So we're just going to make 2 tiny ovals to be kind of like the ends of the smile. So I'm going to go down for my eyeball, my right eyeball. I'm going to go down and to the right a little bit. Draw a small oval here. Hold that down and go ahead and fill it in. I'll just fill it in with my brush since I'm right here and it's so small. Okay, and then now to get a nice, perfect smile, it is very hard to make arches that connect nicely. So we're going to make another circle, but we're gonna have to do that on a separate layer. So let's go to our layer menu, add a new layer. No need to turn on symmetry, so it should not say assisted on it. And same brush, same color, everything. We're going to make another circular shape, hold it down until it turns into a nice smooth shape. Touch your finger to the screen to turn it into a perfect circle. And then go ahead and click this circle button at the top so that we can edit it. And we're just going to kind of try to line it up nicely on our smile here. So resize it if you need to. Do not touch one of the blue dots. That will change the shape of it and it won't be a perfect circle anymore. It'll change it to more of like an ellipse. But if you do that, you can click circle at the top again and it'll reshape it into a circle. But what you want to do is touch your line between the dots. So like right here, and then you can resize the whole circle at once. So go ahead and resize it if you need to, bigger or smaller, and just kind of line it up to where the sides of it touch our little ovals kind of in the middle of the ovals and make a nice little smile shape there. So we'll obviously get rid of everything above this, but go ahead and just make sure that looks pretty good. Click our arrow tool, and we are just going to very quickly center it on the center of our screen in the middle where we see the vertical yellow line. So that just makes sure that we're right smack dab in the center. Again, make sure it's still lined up nicely with our little ovals. And then I'm going to grab the selection tool on freehand with color fill turned off. And I'm going to select around this top section. So I'm going to cut it right through the little oval here, go around to this little oval and around to connect it. So since our circle's on a separate layer, the little ovals here won't be affected. So then when we click our arrow tool and drag it off the screen to get rid of it, we are just left with the bottom part of our circle. So now that makes up the rest of our smile. So let's go to our layer menu and snap these two layers together so that they're on the same layer, our whole face. Now we're just going to make the little cheeks, so we're going to do that on a new layer. So add a new layer, drag it below our face layer, right above our pink circle. Click on this layer and turn on Drawing Assist so that we can use our symmetry again, and grab our bright red color, the second one on the top row. Same monoline brush at 100%, and we are just going to make a little circle for our cheek right behind this oval here. So make a circular shape, hold it down, touch your finger to the screen, resize it a little bit, and then click circle again at the top to move it around or adjust the size at all. But get it to a nice place where you like it, right behind our little ovals here, and then go ahead and fill them in. And that completes our smiley face. So now we're going to add a little bit of a shadow behind it to kind of make it pop off the screen a little bit more. So to do that, we are going to first turn off symmetry because we're done with that. So let's go to the gear icon, turn off the drawing guide. Boom, don't need to see that line anymore. And then to make our shadow, we are going to make a copy of our backmost circle layer, this white one, since this is our biggest one that we want to make a shadow on. So find that on the layer menu, slide to the left and hit duplicate. Select the bottom one. Grab our gray color, the fifth one on the top row, and drag and drop it onto that circle. You won't see it fill in because it's behind our other white and pink circle, but if you go to the layer menu, you should see that it is filled in gray now. Click on the N on this layer to open up the menu and drag the layer style here up to multiply. That's like a nice shadow layer style to create a shadow over the colors in our background. Okay, so now we're going to click our wand icon and we are going to click on motion blur. And when we do motion blur, it goes in whatever direction you move it. So if you do it left to right, it goes left to right. If you do it diagonal, it goes out diagonally. We are going to do ours top to bottom. So I'm going to start just kind of in the middle of his face and I'm going to draw straight up a good ways, maybe to like 40%, somewhere in there. And then I just want it on the bottom. I don't want it sticking out of the top as well. I want a bigger shadow at the bottom of my circle. So I'm going to grab my arrow tool and I'm just going to move it straight down, keeping it in line with where it was. Snapping should help it stay in line as well. So I'm just going to move it down a good bit until like the top part of my selection is below my white circle. So it's just barely below it there, but that means that anything that's on this layer is now lower than my circle. So shouldn't be anything sticking out at the top anymore. So it should all just be at the bottom, like so. Okay, so that helps add like a nice pop to everything. And essentially that is it for the main part of our picture. So now we're going to add the layer that will turn half of our picture into a different color. So here is what we are going to do. We are going to add a new layer on top of everything. Grab our blue color, the first one on the second row. We are going to drag and drop this over our picture. We're going to click our arrow tool to select it. We are going to go to the bottom left here and turn on magnetics. You can leave snapping turned on as well. But the biggest thing is I'm going to rotate this green bar 45 degrees to the left, and snapping is going to help us do that better. So technically, since we're moving to the left, it's going to be 135. That is going to be our rotation. Then I'm going to zoom out, and I am going to drag this up into the left until it's like roughly about where the corners would be, like lining up. If you drew a line from this corner to this corner, that's where we want it to hit. Obviously the square is too small right now, so I'm going to switch my selection to freeform down here, and I'm going to drag each side out a little bit on the sides. This is why we need to be nice and zoomed out. But now I'm also going to drag this in just a little bit so I don't have so much room to play with. And then I'm going to zoom in here, and then again I'm just going to kind of line it up on my corners a little better. So I'm going to zoom in on this top right corner and just drag it down just a smidge till it's pretty much right lined up with that. Let's go check and make sure it looks good down here, and make sure everything's covered. It's going off the screen all the way around on this top and left side. Boom, and then we will click our arrow tool to deselect this. So now we have half of it covered in this blue color. And to have it show our picture, but in blue, we are just going to change the layer style. So go to your layer menu on this layer at the top here with our blue triangle. Click the N on this layer and drag it up, and you can see all these different fun little things that happen with it. But the one that we are going to land on is hue. And that is going to change that entire side of our picture to a green hue. So again, if you wanted to, you could do other colors. For example, if we did lime green instead, it would turn everything green. Or potentially like an orange color and turn it orange. But as you can see, it doesn't work great with every color. Like this orange looks very muted and stuff, but you can mess around with some different colors and see what works for you. But we are going to stick with our blue color for this, so that we end up with this. And that is it for our drawing today. So I hope you had fun. If you did, go ahead and give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you'd like to see more tutorials from me in the future. If you would like to share your drawing on Instagram, I would love to see it. So go ahead and post it and then tag me so that I can check it out. While you're there, go ahead and give me a follow so that you can see what I'm working on next. Thanks for watching.